guys, how's it going? All this effort making roller coasters, just try to walk up 2 stairs with robot legs. There's a thrill there, I'll tell you. First of all, let me thank you all for giving me your attention. Thanks, Ben, for inviting me out here. And this has been a lot of fun today, getting to see the minds and the ideas behind all the things that put smiles on our faces. So that's really exciting, and I'm happy to be here. When I talk to crowds, I don't do a scripted speech. Usually I don't even know what I'm going to say until I'm walking up the aisle there. And that's okay. That's on purpose. That's so I can be candid and really speak to you all as individuals and not talk at you as people in an audience. And so usually I like to start with some really bad jokes. So I kind of have to warm you up and rehearse you here because I don't want you to embarrass me. When I tell a joke that isn't really that funny, which all of them aren't, I kind of give it this. That means you have to laugh, even if it's uncomfortable and you're not sure if you should. And so the first joke is, and it's true, my name's Johnny Joey Jones. I was a staff sergeant, United States Marine Corps. Statistically, I worked the most IEDs on the deployment I was on. We don't know who's worked the most ever. And whoever that is, there are probably 10 people claiming it. But so that was what happened in my life on my second deployment in Afghanistan. So I was a bomb tech in the Marine Corps. As you can tell, I wasn't really that good at it. You got it. There we go. That's my, I'm glad you laughed. That really makes me feel good about this. We're going to have fun here. And so I was a bomb tech in the Marine Corps. I'm from Dalton, Georgia, and most of you probably know about Dalton because of all this stuff you've been walking on all day. You kind of enjoy carpet or you don't live in Dalton. It's kind of, you got 2 options there. And so I didn't make it as a forklift driver in a carpet mill, and so the Marine Corps was my next option. So I joined the Marine Corps way back when, 2005. I was excited and energetic and wanted to serve my country and most importantly get out of the carpet mill town. So that's what I did. I went to Iraq 2007 and 2008, had a really good time. It was pretty easy. I came back, trained up to be a bomb tech, and went back to Afghanistan in 2010. And for those of you that aren't kind of keeping up with politics and things like that, good on you. But for those of you that are, you know in 2010, 9, 10, 11, 12, those were the deadliest years in this very long war we've been fighting. For my job field, for bomb techs, because we're a constant evolution, it was the deadliest time ever. So when I lost my legs in 2010, I was on the front end. I was the second guy in a matter of years to lose my legs that way. I was the third guy in a matter of years to lose my legs that way, the second one on that deployment. And so there weren't a whole lot of guys and gals dealing with it. When I got to Walter Reed, which at the time the Marine Corps went to Bethesda, the Army went to Walter Reed. We were across town from each other. When I went to Bethesda to get stitched up, there were like 5 or 10 guys up there with amputations or gunshot wounds. By the end of that second month, there were almost 50. And so 2010 was what you would call a bumper crop for the Taliban because we had a lot more guys and gals in Afghanistan in an area unlike Iraq where we couldn't drive vehicles. We had to walk everywhere we went. And much like what we learned in Vietnam, we had to be in these towns and villages because if we were there 1 day a week, the bad guy was there 6 days a week. So we had to try to be there all the time. And so as we put ourselves out there to try to win this war, we made ourselves more vulnerable and ultimately needed more bomb techs. And needing more bomb techs means you lose more bomb techs. So I have about 26 guys on my wrist. All of them I knew really well. All of them did the job in a field of about 400. But while I was recovering, it seemed to be that my guys ended up coming up there to Bethesda more and more often. And so the reason why I'm telling you this is that what started just trying to connect with my guys that were injured after me turned into visiting with everybody and learning that something as simple as a conversation can change someone's life. And then I had to reflect and realize that had happened to me and I didn't even see it or notice it. It just happened. So when I woke up in the hospital in Landstuhl, Germany, 2 days after I lost my legs, I woke up. The first thing I asked about was Daniel Greer. He was a corporal, a firefighter and reservist from Tennessee. And so I asked about him, and he didn't make it. He got killed when I stepped on the IED. And then the next thing the nurse said to me, and I just assume it was in a southern voice, I was on pain meds, was, "Honey, you're going to walk again. Don't worry about it. You're going to walk, and you're going to be okay." I asked if I had a knee. And so there have been a few off-color jokes since I've been here. When you're a guy and you lose your legs in war, when you wake up, you've got one concern and one concern only, that you want to know if some parts are still there. I'm talking about a knee, guys, a knee. Get your minds out of the gutter. And so I asked if I still had a knee because I had been around enough guys who had lost legs to know that's a big difference. And she said, no, honey, you're going to walk again. Don't worry about it. And so for me, that's all it took. I didn't realize it in the moment, but that's all it took to set me on the path of recovery and rehabilitation. To believe those words were as simple as hearing them. And so what I'm going to parlay this into, I think for you all, is that you kind of have a really special job where you give people a place to find joy. And in this world, in this day and age, I can tell you, I'm out pounding the ground. That's hard to come by. It's hard to, I guess what I would tell you is, it's not so much that you make a living out of getting people or giving people joy, but giving people joy provides for your living. See, perspective is a huge deal for me. It's how I live my life. It's how I've gotten through the hardest things in my life. Losing friends in war, losing friends here at home to not understanding life and wanting to keep doing it, and some of the other things that kind of grab you and surprise you. So what you all do is really important to me. I'll tell you how important it is. I lost my legs in August 6, 2010, all right? I started going to college in October. So my arms didn't work yet. I used a dragon device. I'd speak into my papers, and they would come to the hospital and teach us, all right? I started walking in February 2011, and I started working full-time in June 2011. So 10 and a half months after I lost my legs, I was working full-time on Capitol Hill, trying to make the world a better place. Eventually, I realized if you really want to have an impact, you get as far away from that place as you can. But on February 2011, the reason why that date's so important to you all is this is about 6.5 months after I lost my legs, maybe 7. I don't count well. I'm from Georgia, and I was a Marine. And I lost half of my calculator. So about seven months after I lost my legs, I started walking on what's called full-length prosthetics, a working knee. See how they bent when I walked up the steps? I started walking on these. The very first day I got them, what you should do is you put on a harness and a track. You get up on full legs, you have a walker, and you walk around until you don't need the walker, and then you walk around with 2 canes until you don't need the canes, and then you walk around. You walk around with 2 canes until you don't need the harness, and then you walk around with 2 canes for months. And so I'm stubborn. I was a Marine. The day I put these legs on, I never used the harness, I never used the walker, and my goal was 1 cane. I walked out of that building with 2 that day. And I walked straight to a Dave & Buster's and busted my face on a set of steps right in the front of it. But it was the most fun evening I ever had in my life. I had the families there that had supported me through my recovery. I had my girlfriend there, my little boy, and we had an amazing time. For 2 or 3 hours, I was just a normal guy who couldn't get around real well but was ready to have a really good time. And so I say that story because that left a lasting impact on me. The second time I had a great time like that was last year. I took a group of wounded vets over to a go-karting complex, and the guy shut the place down, sent everyone home, and told us, there aren't really a lot of rules, just please don't get hurt while you're here. And we spent hours racing each other on go-karts. I had my feet zip-tied to the pedals, and we had what you would call a hell of a time. I turned in the 3rd fastest time out of 8 of us, so I don't know what those guys with legs were missing. And the point, these are profound and lasting days and impacts in my life. I tell people that perspective is how I get through my day. It's not like I lost my legs, woke up one day, and realized this wasn't going to bother me anymore. Nothing in life is like that. You see, the one thing I tell people is never, ever compare adversity and always share in victory and success. And so never, ever compare yourself against what someone else is going through. Just know that whatever is most important in your life is equal to whatever is most important in theirs. But when you do have success and victory, understand you're not the only one that got you there. If you can remember those 2 things, you can always have perspective. And so for me, perspective is when you're sitting in 5 o'clock traffic and you really need to be somewhere at 5:05 and you know you're not going to make it there and you're so frustrated because the idiot in front of you has his left blinker on but he's turning right and what's going on right now? Take that moment to grab a hold of the steering wheel, look at what you have on the radio, adjust the temperature to the perfect number and tell yourself, man, worst thing in my life at this moment is 5 o'clock traffic. See, that's perspective. It's not the situation you're in. Every one of you have a drink in front of you. A lot of people smarter than me will tell you that perspective is looking at it and going, is this half empty or half full? And what I learned is that perspective is looking at it and going, do I want to fill this up or am I pouring it out? See, it's not the situation you're given, whether it be in business or the people that work for you or your family life that affects everything else. It's not the situation you're given, it's how you choose to respond to it. I learned that lesson the hard way. My goal now is to let people, no matter what age or experience or where they are, the opportunity to see it through my life and apply it to theirs. For me, it was losing my legs. It was kind of simple. For other people, it's not that clear. For other people, you have to strip away at things to understand what it is that's really wrong. But perspective is your opportunity to say, and it works in everything in life. You may look at your competitor next to you and go, man, they've had it easy. And I've had it rough. And what's so amazing about that, because every one of you had legs that walked you here today, and I had to take a few more obstacles to get here. But the fact is I'm here. And the one thing that's true is I wanted to be here just as much as you all, and in some cases more. That's how I made it here. So the adversity I hit on my way here, it only made me stronger and solidified the fact I wanted to be here. And you can apply that to anything and everything in life. It's kind of an amazing thing, isn't it? And so what I'll tell you is, for me as a service member, when I was injured, I had a choice. I could be limited or adaptive. I could choose to be the resentment of war or the resilience of war. And the defining moment, and what really changed that, was looking at the people that cared and loved for me and saying, for them, the choice is easy. And for you, it may be your business, your family, or all the above. For most of you, it's probably both and the same. And so for me, all I can offer to you today, all I really want you to take away from anything I have to say, a couple of things. One, I want you to understand you live in the greatest country in the world. And if you don't live here, well, maybe, come on. But you live in the greatest country in the world. If you don't live here, you're just visiting, we're going to figure it out. We'll get you here. But you live in the greatest country in the world, not because of the size of our military. And make no mistake about it, it's the biggest, the best. I've lived it. I've seen it. We're only limited by our politicians. I promise you that. We're not limited by our capabilities or even our funding right now. We have the greatest military in the world. That doesn't make us the greatest country. And it's not the size of our wealth. There are places that are almost as rich as us, and we don't know what to do with our money half the time anyway. And it seems like we never have enough. And it's not even our free form of government. We argue every day over, is this a democracy or a republic? And then someone goes, well, maybe it's both. See, those are symptoms of why this is the greatest country in the world. This is the greatest country in the world because we wake up every day and we walk out our door and we walk down the street and we have an inherent love for the people we pass that we don't even know. The ones that don't look like us, don't talk like us, don't pray where we do, don't enjoy the same things we do. We have an inherent love for them because we know we're in this together. And the only way we make it through it is if we rely on each other. For some of us, that might be isolated to our family. I challenge you to bring that out to your community. For some of you, it might be isolated to the people you interact with every day. I challenge you to bring that out to your customers. Share in what this is, because we only have each other. I've seen it. I fought for it. I was willing to die for it, and thank God, people like you all and your children and your brothers and sisters and moms and dads have dedicated their lives to keeping me put back together, making me well so I could stand here today. You all make sacrifices. Mine were kind of obvious, but you all make sacrifices, and it's not just for the bottom line or for your own self-satisfaction. At some point, it's to be a part of this that we are. This experiment we call a free country. So this is the greatest country in the world because all of you are sitting here today and you're listening attentively to me. I don't have anything to share with you that will make you more money, but I might have something that will help you understand that the heart and soul, your soul, is what makes your business successful, and it's what makes your life successful. I tweeted out the other day, and I don't know if I can regurgitate it, but something along the lines of service, and I'm going to say it backwards, I probably will screw it up, is executed by the body, is experienced in the heart, but it starts as a commitment of the soul. And I've found that to be something that I've reflectively looked back in life and believe. My service to my country was executed through my body, and ultimately it paid a price. But the only way I could do that is if I believed it and experienced it in my heart. But first I had to make that commitment. And I believe that was a commitment from my soul. I believe that I was born into it. I believe in some ways we all are. And we can serve the people around us in so many ways. The military is just one of them. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much. This has been quite the honor and pleasure to speak to you today. I appreciate you listening attentively. I'm sorry I didn't have just a few more bad jokes for you. You even laughed at the ones I brought. I really appreciate that. I'm from Georgia, so usually this takes a little bit longer. It takes me 5 minutes to say, hey, I'm Joey. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you very much.